Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Eubanks, and today I'm going to be showing you the new and improved Agency Builder Resource Manager. So, about a year or so, a little more than a year ago, I created one of these for seven-figure agency, and it had a lot of the pieces this one has, except it didn't automate a lot of the calculations and a lot of the reporting. And the biggest thing is that it didn't have task management. So I know there's a bunch of other sheets tools that are out there, and there's a lot of other ways that people are using to-do lists and managing tasks. But I was particularly frustrated with the fact that I couldn't find a task management solution that wasn't extremely expensive, that also had resource planning and utilization tracking built into it. So as usual, I built it. So I want to take you through setup and how it is. So again, like one of the coolest things about this, in my opinion, is that you can add your resources in via separate sheets. So it actually connects across, as many sheets as you need. It scales completely. So I want to show you how to get that all set up, and we'll take it from there. So the first thing is, here is the format that your individual resources will be managing, right? So like this would be the only thing that they would put in here would be, and I'll show you this a little later on, is they would put in their actual hours, and they would change the status once the tasks are assigned. But to get set up, we need to set this template. So I'm going to copy this URL right here, making sure that it's open and shareable. It needs to be publicly accessible. You can change that later and authorize just the individual sheets, but for setup, it should be publicly accessible. So I'm going to come up here to the Agency Resource Builder Manager. So you can see here's all the functionality that's built in here. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to set this time log template. So I'm going to do that. Cool. So we can see down here, the time log, the template URL is successfully set. So now we can actually move on and do the cool stuff. So I've already cleared the data. So this is sort of the starting point across all. That's why everything looks like it's sort of broken, because there's no data in here right now. But we're going to go through and we're going to add a bunch of that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our departments. And we're going to add a new department. We'll have an SEO department. We'll bill at $200 an hour. We'll have a content strategy department that will bill at $150. Let's say that we do web design and we bill this at $125, and we'll do, that's good. Three is good enough. So you can see in the background here a little bit, it's actually populating the departments. Cool. So we've got our departments now. The next thing we're going to do is going to add a deliverable. So the deliverables are really cool because this works as essentially a template. So it lets you build and manage tasks. So you can assign templates in the future deliverables in the future to clients, and it automatically pulls all those tasks. So like, let's say this is an SEO audit. So it's going to be the SEO department task. We'll have the website crawl. We'll say that takes 1 hour. And then for the SEO audit, the next piece would be after website crawl, we're going to do the crawl analysis. Let's say that's 5 hours. And then after the crawl analysis, we have the, what do we want to say after that? It would be executive summary to write up all the findings. Say it takes 2 hours. And then the final one is create the presentation slide deck. And we'll say this takes 2 hours as well. So there's that deliverable. Cool. So that's just one. I'm going to add another deliverable real quick, just to help this out a little bit. So for this one, we'll call this content strategy, content calendar. How about that? So this one's going to be in the content strategy department. The task name for the content calendar, the first task is going to be analyze keyword data and trends. And let's say that's 2 hours. And then the next one would be develop 10 content ideas. And going to say 2 hours again, and then the last piece we'll do will be write requirements for implementation. And that's probably 6 hours. There's our other deliverable. Cool. Next, we're going to add a client. We'll call this one Acme. The account manager, this right now, the way this is built is you just manually set this. So I'm going to call this Mr. PM. This client starts today. They have contracted us for 60 hours per month at $9,500, we'll say. Cool. There's our client. Next, we're going to want to add a resource. So the very first one we'll do here, we'll add Matt Flarby. And I'm going to use my email address, an email address that I can get email at, just to show as an example. Matt is full-time. This doesn't actually, this matters for reporting later, but this doesn't actually drive any of the calculations differently. We pay Matt $25 an hour, and Matt does SEO. He's full-time department. So hours per week for full-time, we'll say he does 20 in SEO, and he does 20 in, actually I'm just going to do his SEO on here. So this is important. If you're going to have the same resource between multiple departments, what I do like to do is to set them up one at a time here. So it actually pulls in the departments and correlates it. You'll see what I mean in a few minutes. But that's really helpful. So adding resources takes it's the longest set of scripts that need to run, because it has to actually go and look up all of the additional sheets and then create all of those sheets across the range and update all of the sheet IDs and task IDs with the client IDs and department IDs and everything else. So this is the longest script to run. So it just takes a little bit of patience, but this should finish reasonably soon. There we go. So that's step one. The last thing you need to do is so you can see here, it created this resource sheet for us right here. So you need to come over here and you need to allow access to the sheet. As soon as we do that, it'll authenticate. It'll pull through all this information right here, which is super helpful. I'm going to add one more resource while we're at it. This one we'll do Ian Powell's. And going to use, again, another email address of mine, just so I can actually get these tools so I can show you what they look like. He is part-time. We pay him $10 an hour, and he just does content strategy work for 20 hours a week. And there we have it. So now we're in Ian Powell's over here. Again, we just need to allow access. That's going to go out to his sheet and map that in via the ID. Super cool. So now we are all set up. So what we can do now is we can go back to our dashboard and see that our departments are added here and our resources are added here. It takes the total number of hours that we allocated per week and multiplies it monthly. Gives us our total budget hours across all resources for the specific time period. And we can see our costs here as well. One thing that you may want to format here and there, little things. These are just small, tiny things where the formatting just doesn't seem to hold up in terms of like whether it's a currency or a percentage, but little stuff. Now we're finally ready to actually add some tasks. So we come into our task manager and we're going to pick the SEO audit for Acme, and the website crawl we're going to say is due next Friday. And we're going to assign that to Matt. And then we're going to have him do the crawl analysis, which is going to be due on Monday. And that's going to be Matt's executive summary. We'll have that be due Wednesday. Also Matt. And then we'll have next Friday, we'll set the due date for Ian for the presentation slide deck. So we add these tasks. Adding them across all the sheets, all that good stuff. Cool. So I'm going to drop in my email real quick as if I was actually, I'll show you here. So this is what the email looks like that you get when it comes through. So this would be, this is the one for Matthew Flarby. So I can open this up, and then this is Matthew's actual time log piece here. So we can see the sheets all talk to each other. So when you push tasks into a specific resource from here, which will show up again, they show up, you can see they show up here, these automatically push into Matt's sheets. And then what's nice about this is we can actually set the hours in here as well. So we can say, all right, so we spent 1.5 hours on that task. Let's say you spent 4 on that one and 2 on that one. And this one is completed. This one is in progress. And this one is completed. So we can see all these updates here, the hours that are logged versus the budget, and then what their due dates, the tasks, who the client is, and what the deliverables for. We now go back into here, and we can see that if we go look at Matthew Flarby's, we can see that these are all updated. So the status is updated, the actual hours and budget is updated. And so what that's doing is that's pulling all the way through. We can see here, so the assigned hours, worked hours, planned utilization, actual utilization, the revenue, our cost, and it calculates our profit right here. And that's based on billable rate times the hours, the number of hours versus the hours that have actually been worked. It's how these all run. And then we can also see, take you through some of the other cool stuff now that you've seen that. Here's our client list. We can see we have our one client in here. Here's our department list. We haven't set any hours yet for the web design department. That's why that's not showing up. We have a master library of all the deliverables. And then these are some things you don't want to edit. So this would be the deliverable tracker. This is a back-end process. This is what runs all the time logs, so we wouldn't change that either. And then this is actually pretty cool. So the thing I think I'm probably most proud of in this whole sheet is actually this next sheet I'm going to show you. So the contract status here, this is all editable. Anything in light yellow is editable. So these are the stages. And then the way the stages work is when you add a client in here and you add the departments, it will add all the information, and then here's our stage list. So that's being driven by the stages in the other sheet. So I can say like, all right, so Mr. Peem for this client, so for Acme, that we actually have the contract. So that's going to change the probability to 100% since it's closed, and then our potential revenue actually matches the billable revenue. But if I change this to like say proposal sent, where we know we have a 50% close rate, it actually reduces the revenue potential overall, which is super helpful here in general. And then you can see here's our master resources list. These also, it automatically pulls in the links to each of their individual time tracking sheets. So you have those for reference if you ever need to go in there. You can set your role manually, but it's not needed. And then everything again rolls up in your utilization dashboard. So I'm just going to do one more client and assign some web design hours just so you can see what this actually starts to look like. So this one will be character. We're going to make Edward the account manager. This client is starting on Friday. It's 100 contract hours, and for that, we're going to bill them $15,000. All right, sweet. Now let's go add some tasks. We're going to make this one. You know what it is? That's what I'm thinking wrong. We have to add the deliverable first. Call this landing page design, and the department's web design. The task name will be design requirements. Make that 2 hours. Grayscale wireframes 4 hours, and then do high fidelity mockups another 4 hours, and we'll add that deliverable to the library. Cool. We're going to want to come into our deliverables library, and there it is, landing page design. We can see all the components that have been added in there. Next up, we can now add that task. So the deliverable will be the landing page design. The client will be character. We're going to assign these tasks to Ian. Just why not? There we go. Add all those tasks in. We can check all tasks in here. These are for character. There they are. There's all of them. So we can see no actual hours have been recorded yet against any of these. I am a crazy person when it comes to formatting. It's the little things that just drive me nuts. So, but again, you can change the formatting on any of these, and it's not going to hurt anything. And then if we go back to Ian's individual, let's check and make sure there they are. They're all in not started. So I'm actually going to open up Ian's invite that would have been sent to him, which is here. And there's the link to the sheet that it generated. So, and here we are in Ian's individual sheet, right? So again, we can see budget hours versus actual hours, and we can change these statuses. So let's say this one he got done in 1 hour, and that's completed. This one he finished in 2 hours, completed. This one he's 3 hours in. That one's in progress, and he hasn't started the fourth yet. So again, I'm in Ian's sheet now. If we go back to the actual resource manager, we can see that these have all updated accordingly to include those actual hours. And what's nice about that is now we can go into our dashboard and we can see for Ian, his hours available, his hours assigned, his hours worked, his actual planned utilization versus actual utilization, the revenue that he has actually generated, so produced. So again, if you're running accrual, this is based on the accrual model. This is our cost, so that's our profit so far. You can also see our total budget hours versus our resources, how they're currently allocated, our overall utilization. And then again, if we were going to change this, so I don't have any dates in for next month yet, but we could literally go, look forward next month. We can go back week by week or forward week by week. So as you build these out and you get all of your project plans in here in the tasks, you'll be able to use this time period sorter to change all of the data across the entire sheet, which is super useful. So I hope this makes sense. I hope you guys find this useful. Took a crap ton of time to make this, but I'm really proud of it. And I hope it helps a lot of agency owners.